Welcome to this City Council special meeting. It's Tuesday, May 27th. We will open this meeting again with the land acknowledgement. The land that Eureka rests on is known in the Wiyot language as Jirojiji. Past actions by local, state, and federal governments remove the Wiyot and other indigenous peoples from the land and threaten to destroy their cultural practices. The city of Eureka acknowledged the Wiyot community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement demonstrates the city's commitment to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Castellano?
Here.
Councilmember Moulton?
Here.
Councilmember Fernandez?
Here.
Councilmember Bauer?
Here.
Councilmember Contreras-Deloche?
Here.
Mayor Burgell?
Here. Public comment. Pursuant to the Brown Act, Section 54954.3A, the public shall be provided an opportunity to speak only on items that are listed on the special meeting agenda. Public comment on individual items will be taken after staff presentation. Pursuant to City Council Resolution 211-22, City Council policy is to limit each speaker to 3 minutes. Such time allotment or portion thereof shall not be transferred to other speakers. And our first report and action item is the C Street Bicycle Boulevard. And who will be reporting on that, City Manager? Come on up, Director Willer. Thank you. And welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so tonight we have the C Street Bicycle Boulevard Award in front of you. We had a good turnout for contractors who were interested in this project, and RAO Construction was the low bidder. And so that's what's on your agenda summary tonight for recommendation. A recommendation to award to RAO and approve the funding for construction for this project. A little background on the project. The C Street Bike Boulevard kind of came through early planning efforts to start to look at the city's bicycle non-motorized transportation network. In previous to 2020, the city's or I should say 2015 or so, the city started looking a little bit more seriously at really doing some work on facilities within the city to help accommodate bicycle use. In particular, the H&I corridor was kind of that first avenue into that arena with pursuing funding for the H&I corridor, which has now been completed and is in use out there today. At that time, we started looking at, there was interest from council and the community to also look at either expand the network or make our facilities more robust as that whole culture of bicycle transportation design and function grew throughout the country. We started looking at non-motorized transportation corridors. We came to council and presented on non-motorized transportation planning for the entire city. This was in 2020. At that time, we did an extensive kind of run through on a number of projects, including the Beta Zoo project. C Street Bicycle Boulevard was also highlighted in there extensively, looking at the different ways that you could really go for a low level of traffic stress type of transportation, bicycle transportation corridor. There are many different types of bike facilities, whether it's a multi-use trail, class 1 trail, class 2 bike lane, class 3 bike lane, class 4 cycle tracks. So there's a lot of different types of facilities, and there's kind of some variation between the different types. And the thing that the city had at the time that was a lot of class 2 that didn't have a lot of separation from traveling vehicles. And so that's where you see H&I corridor. We've created a buffer, kind of some separation from cyclists and motorized vehicles. There was also some bicycle boulevards in the city at the time, but those bicycle boulevards were more or less signs indicating that this street was also a bicycle boulevard. So not a lot of indication as to what's going on there, not a lot there to indicate to the traveling vehicles or to traveling cyclists as to that facility. So the push was really, the desire there was really have facilities that would cater to lower level traffic stress individuals who really wanted to be able to use a facility without having to have as much vehicle traffic kind of interacting with vehicles throughout the corridor. And so that's where the C Street Bike Boulevard kind of came to be, really focusing on creating a facility that had those design features that would kind of reduce traffic volumes on those streets. It wouldn't necessarily reduce access to anybody living along the streets. It was more to try to inhibit people using a facility like C Street as a cut-through street to get from one side of town to another, to get from one area to another where they're not really, that isn't their destination, and really allow for that street to be a way for cyclists to get from one part of town, say like the old town, downtown area, to the Henderson Center area. So be able to get across town without having to navigate as much traffic. So that's kind of the big picture as far as C Street. This facility also went through the Transportation Safety Committee a number of times. There's a presentation kind of similar to what was given to council as far as like the going through the individual design aspects, some of the diverters, the one-way street segments, the rapid flashing beacons, so those really high visible crossings of the more busy streets that kind of cross C Street to really allow for both the cyclists to be seen, vehicles to be alerted that there is somebody there trying to use those intersections. So to get back on track there, TSC reviewed it, and then we also, it was a core component of our recent bicycle master plan. So that project at the time hadn't been, was just awarded funding. And so it had always been part of our planning as like one of our core north-south routes for a cyclist to get across town. And so in the bike plan, which was brought out into, had multiple community meetings. So there was 2 virtual community meetings, a 1 in-person community meeting. It was brought in front of council twice. And then there was also a tabling event and a pretty robust outreach component with that, where there was media announcements, we had an email list, we had a project task force that was made up of bicycle folks who helped or people around that industry or that community to help kind of influence the master plan. So there's a lot of different ways outreach was, or engagement was had through the bike planning process that had the C Street Bike Boulevard as part of it. Another aspect, another way this project, it's been in the CIP since 2020. So that's been one of the projects in the transportation section of the CIP. It's been presented in the CIP almost every year as a project there. Additionally, we've gone after 2 active transportation grants. The first round, we were not successful, and the second round we were, and that's why we're here today talking about actually funding a facility like this. The project's been in the HCOG room, the Regional Transportation Planning document, roughly that same order of magnitude, 21, 22. It was in Vroom as part of a complete streets project for the city of Eureka. Let's see. So that's a little bit about the background on the project and why we're here tonight as far as awarding the contract, and we're available for any questions.
Do we have any questions for Director Willer? Councilmember Fernandez?
Thank you, and thank you for the diligence in the report and the timeline that you've given us. A few questions I have. So you said that this was included for quite a few years in the capital improvement projects plan that we've had at least since 2020. You said that this was also included in the planning for the Beta Zoo Trail. Did I catch that correctly, or?
Excuse me. In 2020, we presented to council a non-motorized transportation planning update. The Beta Zoo Trail was also included in that update at the same time that we brought to council.
All right, so thank you for that. And then you said that there were community meetings conducted around this, that there had been outreach, there had been email lists, and I'm curious, at least in terms of the community meetings, when were those held? How were those held? I know you'd said that there are some that have been virtual, but at least generally, can you recall the dates for any of those?
Yeah. So when I said that, I was referring to the bike master plan that C Street Bike Boulevard was included in. Yeah. So that we started that planning process in late 2023. And we had, virtual community meeting on October 26, 2023. Another one in July of 2024. And then we also had another in-person meeting in March of that same year in 2024, and then we did a tabling event.
So when we talk about these community meetings, this is more done as a general type of outreach, not a specified neighborhood like we would if there were some sort of development going on.
Correct. Yeah, this was with the bike planning process, where the C Street Bike Boulevard was kind of one of the projects that was intertwined with the entire bike network.
Okay. For these larger type of plans, have we ever done anything like in a more niche community type of outreach? Like, hey, if we're going to have something come through here, or we're going to turn this into a one-way, we're going to reach out and talk to this particular section of the neighborhood.
Typically that comes through the Transportation Safety Committee, if there's going to be that sort of thing. So there'll be outreach through that, through the TSC, and then that gives that venue for feedback.
Okay. And has that been done to the best of your memory? Because I don't recall that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's been from the standpoint of, like having for the one-way sections, if that's what you're referring to, that hasn't come to the TSC. We have had it's been to the TSC twice, so as far as like the planning of the corridor, like specifically a presentation to TSC talking about the different elements there.
Okay. And then my last piece, when we're talking about low traffic volumes, I can see why you would likely consider C, or at least C Street. And so I'm curious, to some extent, and I can understand again from a traffic perspective, but at least getting people on bikes, getting them through populated areas or even some of the commercial areas, why wouldn't we consider E or F, as those go directly through Henderson Center?
Yeah. So there's some constraints that we have with, when it comes to what we call classified streets. So those are the ones that are, your arterials, principal arterials. And I think F, maybe E fall into that category. When you're looking for a bicycle boulevard where you want to have that low traffic stress, you really look for a residential, a residential area where you're going to have like the lowest level of traffic. You don't want to change your traffic flows on the classified streets. And I'm fairly certain F Street falls in that category. I'm not 100% sure on E. And then trying to have a little separation from like H and I, as far as like, you don't want to have have your corridors stacked up too much. You want to try to provide opportunities kind of throughout the city. And that's really what the bike plan, if you look at that, it provides this network. And C Street is just a good one. It connects like down to C Street Market, in Old Town. And while it doesn't go right into Henderson, it really does that connection where the trail comes in there. It's First and C. That's where it stops before going on the boardwalk, which is a great connection point, kind of transitioning. If somebody wanted to go from, so the waterfront trail all the way down to the south end of town, more or less, and get towards Henderson Center. It doesn't deliver them directly, but it gets them pretty close.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Castellano.
Just to Councilmember Fernandez's question, one of those outreach meetings did take place at Westside Jefferson Community Center, and I attended it, and it was very well attended. There are great facilitators there, which is probably the community center most proximate to the C Street Bike Boulevard location. So there was a lot of public input from people in the neighborhood right there.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councilmember Contreras-Deloche?
Yeah, along those same lines, I live one block off of C Street. I didn't find out about it until I was elected. I am curious, like what the what the outreach looks like for, I have a lot of elderly neighbors that are not on Facebook and are, not, probably really tech savvy. What does the outreach look like for reaching members of that community?
Well, excuse me. I think we're gonna, the plan is to similar to in a better fashion than H&I, do some outreach on how the community, how the corridor could be used. As far as like navigating kind of different traffic configurations. So we're going to have some new traffic configurations there, and trying to put some education, outreach information on our website, and then probably making sure that we get notification out to folks who live on the street, but also try to do media blasts is the easiest way. Sometimes it's hard. It can be expensive to do mailers to everybody or go door to door. It takes a lot of resources. It can be a challenge from that standpoint to get to people or owners especially. No,
I understand. I just am thinking, again, with people that are, I feel like a lot of our, oftentimes our outreach is, we're kind of leaving a generation in the dust. They're not as, good at some of this stuff or not as inclined to be involved in it. And it seems like we should be, even if it is expensive. I mean, certainly the project's expensive, that we should be, some kind of mailer, something that, people that are older are going to open and look at, or even, signage or something leading up to the meetings, or something that we could maybe try to do something that is like a hard copy form of outreach. And, just because it is a big change. And I think, it's different when, bicycle, and I like cycling too. I use H&I, but it's different when, enthusiasts show up to something versus when, people who are going to be directly impacted because they live right there get to show up. I just was curious how that worked. Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll open this meeting up to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak on this item? Welcome.
All right. My name's Jessica Repholz, and I'm here as a longtime homeowner of C Street. I'm here to formally oppose C Street Bicycle Boulevard as it's currently proposed. I'm concerned about the lack of community engagement. I have lived on C Street for 9 years, and not once has anyone on C Street been notified about this project. There was no flyer, no mailer, no community meeting. And I understand that they're expensive, but you guys send us a water bill. You guys can add a little line that says, hey, by the way, we're going to turn your street in parts into one way. Just an idea. Was there a survey done like CEQA? Was there ever a conducted anything with members that live on C Street? Everything I heard that was just presented was from people who ride bikes, and then they said there was a meeting. I don't know if you guys see a map of Eureka, but the closest community center to us would be Jefferson Center, not the other one you guys mentioned. So we're very far from there. We're in the same district, but the distance is pretty far. Additionally, I'd like to better understand the logic behind selecting C Street. He mentioned that there was lights and that it's a slower traffic. B Street already has lights, flashing lights on Boone. Why not pick B Street? Why C Street? It makes no sense to me. What exactly are we trying to direct people from? I heard from Old Town to Henderson Center. Again, if you're trying to find the distance between H and I, then again, go to Union. Go down more. Why so close? So, as someone who lives on the street, I would love to see something come to us, brought to us. The people, I can guarantee you, no one on C Street actually knows this is happening. So it's being tucked away. And you guys are preaching transparency. This is the way you provide transparency. Let us know what's happening on our streets. I understand. Would any of you guys like to see this happen on your street? Just all of the blues, just because I happened to read your guys' notes, as I knew that it was happening. If not, I would have had no idea until I woke up and my yard was being dug up in the front. Thanks.
Thank you, Jessica. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to comment on this item? Okay, seeing no one here. Do you see anybody on Zoom?
If you're on Zoom and you'd like to comment, please raise your hand and unmute. Tyler?
Hello. Am I on?
Yes, go
you
ahead.
are.
I guess I just wanted to voice my support. I think that a project like this would be great for the town, provide a great connection from the bike path into Arcata, into Old Town, and then down to the far side of Eureka. It's just a great project to me. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Tyler.
Is there anyone else on Zoom? Please raise your hand. I see no one else, Mayor.
Okay, seeing no one, we will bring this. Oh, we do have one more
Okay.
in chambers. Come on up. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Brett Gronemeyer. I'm a resident of Eureka, and I wanted to extend my support for this project. Eureka is a very bikeable city. You know, most destinations are within 3 miles, and it's relatively flat except for the gulches, and the climate's mild except for the rain and drizzle. But you know, a high quality bicycle facility like this one, it adds a needed north-south bike route roughly halfway between the H&I Street couplet and Broadway. It crosses Wabash where the bike lanes on Wabash end, creating connectivity to the 6th and 7th Street bike lanes to the north and the Harrison-Henderson bike lanes to the south. You know, this type of facility, you know, like Director Wheeler was mentioning, that, you know, it's good to have a good mixture of different bike facilities in the city, because not everybody is confident when they're riding and they want to ride with a lot of traffic. And this would create a nice quiet corridor for cyclists. And I think the residents would also, you know, appreciate the having less traffic and less vehicles speeding down their street. That will this project will bring with the volume management and speed management features it's going to contain. You know, and I think, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, Eureka and why, you know, young people and families don't stay here. And I think this is the kind of facility that will help attract, make Eureka more attractive to young families and young people who want to make this, you know, their home, having a facility like this. So, anyway, those my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, we'll close public comment and bring it back to council for a motion, a second, and then comments. Councilmember Fernandez.
Motion first.
Motion first.
Okay. I would move that we postpone this until the June 17th meeting.
I'll make a substitute motion. Or wait, I guess if it doesn't get a second, I don't need to make a substitute motion. Sorry.
Yeah. Motion fails for lack of a second. Can I ask a clarifying question? What the thought process is on delaying that?
You can.
Okay. Well, that's why I wanted to ask first if I had to make a motion. Again, it's largely because, you know, as I've said, previous councils, I'm generally supportive of these type of projects. Even with the support that we have here tonight, I am still supportive of it. The issue I have is the outreach, because I understand that, you know, as city government, we do the de minimis, we do what's necessary, we do what's required. But that community outreach is an ongoing process, and I don't feel that we've done that in this situation. And so that's why I'm asking for that postponement. So at least that way there's still a conversation to be had, even though at the next meeting I would be voting to move this forward.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. So with that, we're still waiting for a motion and a second for further discussion.
I can make a different motion then, if that, okay. I move to declare RAO Construction Inc. the low bidder for bid number 2025-17, the C Street Bicycle Boulevard project, and award bid number 2025-17 to RAO Construction Company for the amount of $2,180,180 and approve, I probably don't need to say all this, but $2,344,000 for construction, which includes a contingency of approximately 7%.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Comments? Councilmember Contreras-Deloche?
Yeah. I I'm going to vote no on this. And I think it's because of previous meeting, what we just discussed. It's actually, I think, I live one block off of C Street. It's a decent street. It's still in decent shape. And I think this is it. I can see the use, and I like cycling. I use H&I and J. I think we have a good connection. I think that this would be nice, and the planning around it, I think would be nice. I do think we need to have more robust outreach going forward with anything that is going to directly impact people in situations like this. There does, I think we need to make sure that people, I think that's a good point, that we send out water bills. Maybe there's some way for us to kind of target and put information somehow. I'm not sure. But actually, I think it's more of a budget thing for me. I think I'm going to start weighing things based on nice but not necessary. C Street is still in good shape. I see this as nice and beautiful but not necessary.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councilmember Moulton and then Castellano.
I definitely agree that this is the sort of thing that we should be sending physical mail to people about. Anyone who is on C Street in an affected area should have gotten at least a postcard that said, hey, there's a big project that's going to change the nature and the structure of traffic flow. If it also said, hey, slower traffic is safer and makes it more of a neighborhood street and less of a crosstown thoroughfare, I think that could also generate some support for this kind of thing. But waiting until we have to send it out because basically the project is already at the point where there's not a lot of stopping it, is not good for generating public input, collaboration, support. I'd like to see something physically go out as soon as possible. That's possible.
Councilmember Castellano.
I appreciate, I do deeply appreciate people's concerns around public input. I just want to clarify, this is about awarding the construction for this item and not about the bicycle boulevard, actually, and whether or not that has been approved, which we've already approved through numerous public meetings, including very significant, that were on council agendas, including extensive public outreach. I've attended at least 2 public meetings, and I understand that sometimes people miss something. I miss things too, and am frustrated by it, but also I just want to speak to the fact that this really is for awarding construction through a process that we've already approved on council. And so this isn't about whether or not to have a C Street bicycle boulevard. This is about who's going to build it. And this is grant funded. And I think just delaying the process will only bog down government process to something that we've all been in agreement with for now years. So just to say, I would like to see this move forward expeditiously versus delay something that has had many people, bicyclists, non-bicyclists, residents, all commenting on.
Councilmember Fernandez.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing that this is unlikely to move forward. And again, I have to take ownership for any previous council action before I came on. So it's less an issue of that particular process. And again, just more, the community outreach is a continuous process moving forward. And so going off of what Councilmember Moulton had stated, which is notification moving forward, is there something that we could include at least over the course of this next month to notify folks that this project is likely to move forward? Again, not knowing how the rest of council is going to vote until we get there, I assume that it's likely to move forward with the dissent of at least one, including myself now. But is there something at least to move forward saying that this project is occurring for those folks along that C corridor?
So we can. I just want to be clear. What's agendized tonight, as Councilmember Castellano had said, is it. I think if this is a more general issue and not a specific issue, that should come back at some point as a future agenda item as to what are the parameters for those notifications. As far as this specifically here, we can do more outreach. I think that from a funding standpoint of going and I don't know if that takes necessarily council direction, but we can definitely do some more outreach and have contests. I would be concerned about doing that and you guys making this determination that it's going forward. What are we accomplishing?
Okay, so do we have any further comments? Councilmember Contreras-Deloche.
Yeah, I feel like, speaking to Councilmember Castellano's point, I totally see your point. I do think, there were a number of decisions, that were made, particularly even just in the period of time between when we were elected and when we took office. There was quite a few decisions that were made. And so I understand that. I think, and I get what you're saying. I think this is going to start. One of the reasons why I've continued to vote along with some things that were already decided 2 and 3 years before we took office, at least, is because I've been watching and waiting to see where we were at economically. And I think things have progressed. And I don't think it's any different than any other, if somebody's building onto a house or planning some other things in their life that they might change what that looks like because the financial situation looks different. So for me, that's going to start to change.
Councilmember Castellano.
Just a couple points of clarification too. This is a grant-funded program, right? Thank
Yes,
you.
the ATP grant that went to council initially for approval with the project. It was not successful, and then came back again as a second round and was approved by council for a resolution to accept the grant funding for this project.
And we had the bike plan before us really recently, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything further? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Three yes votes, Councilmember Fernandez and Councilmember Contreras-Deloche dissent. Motion carries.
Thank you. And we will move on now to letter of support for AB. Geez, I can't see that number. 609. 609. And will that be with City Attorney Black?
I believe Councilmember Castellano was going to
Great. Thank
provide
you, Councilmember
information on
Castellano.
this.
Okay, I wasn't totally planning on doing the report for these, but I'm here. I'm game. I'm down. I'm going to do it. Okay, I'll just give a quick overview of AB 609. So both of these items before us, the next two items are housing-related legislation that's currently moving through the legislature. AB 609 creates an exemption from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, for environmental-friendly housing projects, which comply with local requirements. This specifically exempts CEQA process in denser, more like infill-related areas. I did speak with Director Kenyon on this, and she is very supportive of this bill. So just for that, Councilmember Fernandez did ask a question in terms of, so projects have to meet a minimum density threshold in order to qualify for this exemption. And I did reach out. Unfortunately, I've been in conversation with Aaron Eckhouse, who works with YIMBY about this, and he had an engagement at 7. I was hoping we could get, so he can't answer these questions, but I did ask him about like what our density numbers are, and they, via text, and they are actually 7.5 for us because we are a incorporated city in a rural county. So just so you know that one wasn't like specifically marked out there.
The nice average between 10 and 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And so this, any plot of land that is environmentally sensitive would still have to go through CEQA. So this is really speaking to plots of land that could be suitable for housing in areas that are have kind of through the general plan updates gone through a CEQA process. And so this is kind of saying that CEQA process could also apply to these kinds of development.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Councilmember Castellano? Councilmember Fernandez.
Yeah, just to note, I had asked that question when we took a brief break because I wanted to know. So nothing nefarious going on there. But I I am curious though. Sorry, I just moved my screen around and now I've lost all my notes. Never mind.
Okay. So if we have a never mind, we will open this item up for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing no one in chambers, I don't see anybody on Zoom, do you? We'll bring it back to council for a motion, a second, and then comments. Councilmember Bauer.
I'll make a motion to authorize Mayor Burgell to sign and staff to transmit letter in support of AB 609.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Are there any further comments? Okay, please vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you, which moves us to letter in support. Are these the same?
No.
609.
779.
Oh, down, there's a typo, I see. Okay, 79. And will be Councilmember Castellano be reporting on this as well?
Sure, great. Thank you for considering this. So this is Senate Bill 79, which is one that Scott Wiener brought forward, which is allowing transit agency land use authority and transit-oriented development upzoning. And so this is areas that are really specific to in proximity to transit centers. I did reach out to, because, and primarily I'll be real. This is going to particularly create more transit opportunities in more urban areas. But one of the so there's kind of 3 different areas that it will serve. One is kind of tier 1 major transit stops served by heavy rail. High frequency commuter rail, we don't qualify. Tier 2 though, major transit stops served by light rail, high frequency commuter rail, and bus rapid transit. So this is something that Humboldt Transit Authority is currently developing, is rapid transit, and this is transit with a 15-minute wait time or less. There's some other qualifications, but it's very likely that we will be meeting those thresholds in the coming years. And so this would allow for basically easier development of housing in our area. And I just did hear from Aaron Eckhouse. He could jump on if we want him to, if there's more specific questions. And I'll stop there.
I will add that I don't know if this qualifies, but in our most recent regional transportation plan, we did designate major transit stops in the city of Eureka, and I don't know if that's the qualification that triggers this. It potentially could be, but those major transit stops are on Harrison F, H, and 3rd, and there's one other location. But we do have 3 designated major transit stops in our update to the regional transportation plan with HCOG.
Okay. So do we have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Councilmember Bauer?
So I'm looking at the bill, which is a monster of language, really, in many pages. But tier 2 says that a developer may build up to 65 feet or up to the local height limit, whichever is greater. So that gives me some pause, because this council would have no oversight of that, and you could build a 65-foot tall building on Harrison F. So that is a concern. And then there's a local control thing, and I'll throw that out there as a Cal Cities, director, that they're very much opposed to it. And I know we've done a lot for housing in this community, and we're all very supportive, but I think the ability to the lack of ability to affect any kind of oversight over these projects is concerning to me.
Okay, so that was a comment. Do we have any further questions? Okay, seeing none. Oh, Councilmember Moulton?
What is our current height limit in that area?
So I don't have it in front of me, but different zoning designations, whether you're in inland or coastal, have different height designations. At those major transit stops, I don't know for sure. The one at 3rd and H is really high. I think you can go up to 100 feet technically there, because we've had discussions about the Ear Center. The one on Harrison F, I believe that's service commercial in the inland zone, and I don't know what that potentially is in Director Kenyon, isn't it? But we could get that information back to you guys.
Okay. Thank
Excuse
you.
me. It seems to me that many of the buildings that we're doing recently are up to 5 stories. Is that correct?
That are
So I don't know what that would be in feet.
The link projects that are under construction are not. They're 3.
I guess I'm speaking like to the navigation center.
Navigation Center went back down to 2.
Oh.
The
Thanks for the update.
closest to 5-story would be the Earth Center. I believe it's at 4 right now. I don't even think that the WIATs 5th and D may go to 5. I apologize. I don't know exactly where they're at.
Anything further? All right. With that, we'll open this item up to public comment. Is there anyone here in the public that would like to comment on this item? Seeing no one in the chambers, we have Aaron on Zoom. Go ahead, Aaron. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. My name is Aaron Eckhouse. I'm the Local and Regional Policy Program Director with California YIMBY, Yes in My Backyard. Proud to be the co-sponsors of SB 79 as well as AB 609. Wanted to share our appreciation for Eureka's pro-housing leadership. I know y'all have been doing great work at the local level and really appreciate you supporting efforts at the state level as well to address our housing crisis. We are, you just endorsed AB 609. Thank you. SB 79 is another bill that works to solve our state housing crisis in a way that advances our environmental goals by supporting transit-oriented development, making sure that when we've invested major public resources in very high-quality transit, rail transit, bus rapid transit, that we have transit-supportive zoning that goes with it, that allows many people to benefit from living near that investment in higher quality, sustainable mobility. I think Eureka's support for the bill will help send a message to the legislature that this is a statewide crisis. It affects every part of the state, and that we cannot solve our statewide housing crisis unless we are able to address it in every part of the state. So thank you again for your pro-housing leadership, and we will be honored to have your support for SB 79.
Thank you, Aaron. Is there anyone else on Zoom?
I see no one else on Zoom.
Seeing no one, we'll close the public comment and bring it back to council for a motion and a second and comments. Indeed you did. Councilmember Fernandez.
I'll move that we authorize the mayor to sign and staff to transmit letter support of Senate Bill 79.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Please vote.
3 yes votes, Councilmember Bauer and Councilmember Contreras-Deloche dissent. Motion carries.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone for coming out to this special meeting this evening. Just another Tuesday. With that,
we are going to set strategic visioning dates.
okay. Oh,
So exciting.
so in a rush to get here, I left my phone at home. I did, but we can schedule something.
Okay.
I think I gave you a bunch of dates.
Well, this is beyond. We didn't have dates that last session.
It's fine. We'll schedule
This
something.
is September and October.
We'll figure it out.
So in looking, I know that Saturdays work best for the mayor, except you do have an in-service day on Friday the 3rd. I checked
Oh,
the
great.
calendar.
That works for me then.
October 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out.
Did you say
So-
October 3rd?
October 3rd, a Friday. So our facilitator is not available 18th through the 23rd of September, or the 8th through the 15th of October. So.
If I could make a motion, I would move up to.
Yeah, I was like, how's everybody looking for that October 3rd date?
Yeah, I'm officiating a wedding,
Oh.
so I can't do it.
All Scott's
It's my
fault.
niece too, so
All right.
can't do it.
Really though.
Okay, so then we move to Saturdays. So we have the 27th
Of
of
September.
September. And let's see, our league is what the league we wouldn't leave until Tuesday, but we'll come back on Friday. Correct. What's the week?
The 7th through
Okay.
the 10th.
What are the dates of the league?
So,
October 7th through the 10th is league this year.
which our facilitator isn't available. So we would have October 4th, October 18th, or the 25th. And then in September, we would have the 6th, or the 13th, or the 27th.
So I cannot October 18th. We said we can't do that one, right? I
Okay.
can't. It's my daughter's wedding.
She said no.
Okay, good.
What does September 27th look like for everybody?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
27 is
Councilmember
good for me.
Castellano is a no.
Oh God.
I'm supposed to visit my mom for her birthday on that day. I can. I would rather not change my plans to visit my mom because on September 27th we're saying I could do the other weekends in September.
Would you please give us those dates again?
Okay, so that would leave September 6th or 13th.
How's everybody looking for September 6th?
I can do 6th.
Cool.
Everybody's in? September. Stop. All right.
We're good?
So we're confirmed for September 6th for strategic visioning. Thank you, everybody, for your flexibility on this matter. And with that,
Can we be done by 6 o'clock?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Arts Alive night. Some of us have to go back to
Oh.
work.
Yes, we
Okay.
can do
Thank you.
that.
so we have a date for strategic visioning. That will be September 6th. Times, do you have a
Do you want to do a second, an alternate, just in case? I don't know.
13? Probably the 13th, yeah. No, never mind.
So that would October 4th or
You either have a
25th.
vision or you don't.
All right, so let's stay on track here. So where are you at?
Or October 4th or the 25th?
Yeah.
Okay, so not on that.
September 13th. Is that also a possibility?
That's a no.
October 25th.
Or September 13th?
September
Or
13th didn't work for
Oh,
Contreras.
we can't- oh, sorry. Sorry.
25th though.
October 25th as an alternative.
October.
Oh, you can go to.
That doesn't work for you. Okay, doesn't work.
Okay,
October 25th 's out.
so the 6th.
September 6th.
Yeah.
All right. Again, thank you, everybody, for bringing your calendars and being flexible on this matter. With that, we are adjourned.